Hello and welcome to Tracy Mommy Reads. I am back again with another video. Today, I am so excited for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is the first time I have done a video and a book review like right after reading a book. It's been a long time since I've done that because y'all know when I'm talking about these books, I'll say from what I can remember, or I read this a long time ago. But this one, I just finished it yesterday, even though yesterday would have been Tuesday, but you guys are getting this on Friday. But the other reason I'm so excited is because it's a book by one of my favorite authors. And the book I'm going to be talking about today is The Missed Connection by Tia Williams. The Missed Connection. Let me just say one thing. This woman never misses, okay? I said what I said. When I got to the last page of this book, and you know, when you're reading, you can tell like, oh, you know, there's only a few pages left or whatever. When I got to the last few pages, I was in denial. I mean, it ended happily ever after, as all her books do, but I still felt like I wanted more. Like, I could have read 10 more chapters of this book with the story between Sasha and Wes. It was so good. I feel like this may be my favorite by her yet, and that's like, I felt like a love song for Ricky Wilde was going to be a hard follow up. Let's talk about the misconnection. When I went into this book, I already kind of knew what it was going to be about, you know, because a lot of people had gotten like ARCs and, you know, copies ahead of her release date, which was yesterday, June 9th. And again, you're getting this on Friday. But on June 9th was the release date for this book. And I thought it was going to be, which to some degree it is. And see, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I'm not a big fan of love triangles. I'll just put that out there. I'm just because I feel like too much of the story is wasted trying to make a decision on who's it going to be when you could be using that time and those pages and those words to give us more from the couple it's going to end up being, you know, in the end. So that was one thing I was kind of like going into it like, oh my God, not a love triangle, but I'm going to read it. If she writes it, I'm going to read it. So let me tell you what it's about. So Sasha Cruz knows types. As a booked and busy casting agent, she's always casting at happy hour, the grocery store, everywhere. She's all about finding the perfect person to slot into the perfect role. What she doesn't do, however, are relationships. Too much energy, not enough time. On a flight to Paris for work, a chance encounter with her type changes everything. Sasha's seated next to a broodingly attractive mystery man and sparks fly. But they never exchange contact information. Convinced she's lost out on her soulmate, Sasha emails her work friend for help, but accidentally writes the entire company worldwide. The international manhunt to find seat F, because that's the seat he was in, begins. Meanwhile, Sasha takes matters into her own hands, and she hires a smoldering detective she knew in another lifetime, who complicates matters in unforeseen and irresistible ways. With a worldwide search underway, will love take flight for Sasha? And I love how she keeps everything thematic, you know, with the idea of misconnection, a plane, and, you know, all of that. But like most of the books that I read here lately anyway, I've started to get the double, you know, entendre connection with these titles. Because sometimes you think it's, you know, on its face, you would just be like, oh, there was a misconnection because she didn't connect with the guy from the plane. She didn't get his information. But it was some other things too that pertained to. But anyway, the way that Tia Williams writes like banter between like main female characters and main male characters in her stories, you know, like these romance stories, it's unmatched. I don't care what you say. It's always laugh out loud. It's always like smoldering sometimes. It's always a little quirky or awkward, but it's always something that seems realistic, like you could imagine somebody having this kind of conversation. And that was the case with Wes and Sasha, because Wes is the guy that she called to, like a detective. He used to be a private detective. And funnily enough, when she contacts him, like, he doesn't even do that anymore. Like, he's no longer a detective. He worked with his dad, and they had a PI agency, but his dad passed away, and he's doing something totally different, like totally in a whole nother field. But because he has a soft spot for Sasha, he goes ahead and, takes the case. And a part of him took it because he was trying to prove to himself that he still had it. Like, he still had those instincts and he could still do that job. Even after his dad, passed away, they weren't on good terms when his dad passed away. And he basically felt like he had been a failure and not able to really follow in his dad's footsteps in that way. Because he was known for taking shortcuts. But yeah, just from the first time that they're on page together, the chemistry just jumped off the page, and it was just so good. The hunt for this man. I mean, because just imagine, all she knew about this man was that he was Italian. That he spent, because they left New York, headed to Paris, and she knew that he spent 6 months in New York, like he had a home there as well. And there was a theater, because it was in her neighborhood, close to her neighborhood. They talked about this theater and movies, and he said that he goes there or whatever. So it was like very little things. And on his side, the only thing he really knew about her, she said that she worked for Serafina, which I think the whole time I was reading this, I think that was really Tia Williams' way of not saying Sephora, because it was very similar. Like, it was a beauty store, and they were doing commercials, and that's what she was casting for. They had beauty products, and they had chain stores all over New York or whatever. But yeah, because they mostly were talking about things that they wanted to do in their lives, things that they liked. So it was never an exchange of personal information, and they were both tipsy, right? But what started this whole thing is when Sasha was in the airport, she noticed her fingernail polish was chipped, right? So she was trying to perfect this whole, put together image. So while she was waiting, I guess she had a pretty long wait for her flight. There, coincidentally enough, was a beauty place or a spa or something across the way from her, where she was waiting for her plane, from the seats or whatever. And they did manicures. So she went in there to get, her nail fixed. And the girl that did her nail, was telling her all this stuff about, oh, you feel tense or you have trauma or whatever, just from her hands. And the girl told her that she did palmistry and that she could read, futures. And so Sasha was just like, okay, whatever. And this girl is the one that told her, oh, you're going to meet somebody, on your flight, and, this and that, and everything that the girl said, it appeared it was coming true, and that it applied to this man on the plane. So that's why she was so, because something had happened to her, and she had kind of become, to Sasha, and she had kind of become a recluse, and this was her first time really venturing out, and she just wanted to, take life by the horns. So she was putting a lot of stock into what this girl said, and that is, I think, what made her really, go after seat F, because she was like, this has to be, destiny or fate or serendipitous or something, because this girl doesn't even know me, and she said all this stuff or whatever. So, yeah, she ropes Wes into helping her, and it's automatic. Like I said, from the first time they're on the page together, it's obvious they like each other. So very obvious. But I think that given how they met in the past and all that stuff, it's kind of what kept them at arm's length. And Sasha felt like he was a I don't know what they called it in the book. It was kind of like the equivalent of a man whore, but that's not what she said. But he was really attractive, and all the women threw themselves at him, and he really wasn't even trying to be in a relationship, and he just took advantage of his looks and all that stuff. So that obviously, from a intellectual level, that wasn't something Sasha wanted. But she, she couldn't deny it. He was attractive and all of that. But they were really good friends. And the thing that I thought was just crazy is, and I guess this is probably the case depending on what type of person you are. Some people just have those personalities where they kind of overshare, especially if they, number one, trust the person they're talking to, and number two, they and I guess this is a part of trust too, they don't think that this person is going to judge them or whatever. But like, she was telling him like way too much. Like, it was like, okay, TMI, but he just would respond, like they were having a normal conversation about the weather, and she was like telling him really personal stuff. So I think that kind of endeared her to him, and vice versa, because he felt like, oh, she's trusting me with her secrets and how she feels and things like that. So it was pretty hilarious, just like the whole approach that Wes had for trying to find this guy, right? And, in the back of his mind, he was like, I mean, think about it. You like somebody, but you're trying to help them find somebody that they think is their soulmate. But he wanted, despite anything, he wanted her to be happy and to have a happy ending. So if she felt like this guy was all that, then, he was going to find the guy for her. And, not to mention, like, she's a casting director. I mean, she wasn't like a billionaire, but she made really good money. She had a really nice apartment in a secured building in New York. And, they had this conversation where he was talking about how it was ridiculous because his sister bought some shoes, or somebody did, for $600. And she was like, oh, I bought shoes for $600. So, and he knew that this guy that she was on the hunt for was also like wealthy and well-to-do and well-traveled. So he had kind of like said to himself that, that's the kind of guy she deserves, so he didn't want to, murky up the waters or whatever. But when you're spending that much time around somebody, because he tried to tell her, like, listen, I'm doing this, I don't need your help. But inevitably, her nosy ass, she would pop up to see how things were going. And, she's part of the thing now. And spending so much time together, and again, talking. And they had gotten into this routine where they would talk on the phone late at night because he was up trying to, perfect his thing that he was doing, because I don't want to like give away too much, and he also had insomnia. She had anxiety, so she couldn't sleep, so they would be on the phone at 2-3 o'clock in the morning talking or whatever, again just deepening that relationship that they were trying to act like they were going to keep at a friends only level. Because sometimes the heart and the body wants what it wants, and what are you gonna do? So yeah, things get complicated, but Wes he's determined. He's frustrated and not wanting to do the right thing, but because in his past life when he used to work with his dad, he took so many shortcuts and did so much stuff, he wanted to do something right. And Sasha even started to have conflicting feelings, and then he finds the guy. Okay. And I should stop there. I'm just going to be real generic now, because that whole thing was crazy. That was almost towards the end of the book. But he finds the guy, and whether the guy was who he says he was or not, I'm not going to let that be a mystery, because I want y'all to read this book. But I will just say, like I said earlier, all of her books have a happily ever after, and that's the case with this particular book. When I got to that last page, I just wanted to start all over again. Of course, I have some flagged stuff here. I don't know if there's anything I can read without giving any spoilers, but let me see. I'm gonna flip through here. Oh, this was a quote I actually saw before I read the book. How like people will do like little aesthetic things on the book talk and the bookstagram, people that had read the book or whatever. And there was a quote that they had from the book, and this was actually something Wes said, and it kind of digs deeper into that whole love triangle thing. Because there were, times that he would say stuff like, the closer he got to finding the guy, he was like, are you sure this is really what you want to do? What if this guy turns out to be XYZ or whatever? And he started saying that stuff like after they had started spending, him and Sasha had started spending more time together. And so she, like, the first time she said she was just kidding, but then she like thought about it and she asked him again. She kept asking him, was he jealous? And so the last time she asked him, he said, jealousy is wanting what someone else has, and he doesn't have you yet. Does he? Okay. So, yeah, I think that's when the war started. The internal war started for Wes, because like she was like gobsmacked when he asked her that. She couldn't even respond. It wasn't like she was like, well, yeah, he has me because I'm gonna see this through or whatever. She started to like think, is this what I want? Is that the person I want? I thought this was funny. Wes had like a complicated relationship with his family, to say the least. And she was like, Sasha was telling him there was going to be this dedication for his dad, and he wasn't going to go because there's a sister that's a little crazy, and his mom, she's mean. So she was like, it's your family, you should go. And he tells her, family isn't intrinsically a good thing, Wes pointed out. It just means they're familiar. If familiarity mattered, water wouldn't boil fish. Think about it. I thought that was pretty funny and, kind of philosophical at the same time. But yeah, there's just so many like quotable things and quips and quirks. It's just top notch. I loved it. 5 stars. This is my first 5-star book of 2026. So if you love romance, if you love the idea of love triangle or friends to lovers or any of those type of tropes, if you love the banter, if you love this theme, if all of that makes to you like the best romance stories, this right here is going to be the book. This is the book that you need to check out. Teal Williams, The Missed Connection. Loved it, loved it, loved it. If you ever read The Missed Connection, let me know your thoughts in the comment. Am I just fangirling too hard? What did y'all think about the book? Thanks so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video. And if you have not already taken the opportunity, please go and subscribe to my channel right now and share my content with someone who you think may enjoy it. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.